Hey, Las Vegas. Welcome back here to Vegas Realty Check, your local Las Vegas real estate news show. I am Trish Williams.
And I am Tiana Carroll. Welcome back, Tribe, where you can get all the real estate news happening here in Vegas. And if you haven't yet, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you join our tube. Hit the little notification bell so you don't miss out. We are here every Thursday talking all things real estate. And like always, we always start with the numbers.
Yeah.
Because the numbers determine what is exactly happening in our market.
And nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. No.
We're on pause for the fall.
I think so. Now's a great time for vacation.
Right?
Yeah. So our single family residences, we're right there at that. You know, when we look at the total numbers, not just single family residents, we're well over 5,000. But our single family homes on the market, 4,975. We are definitely in a slowdown.
Normally I'd be like, oh, it's balanced. But because of everything that has happened with the high interest rates being on, and the interest rates haven't shifted up until yesterday, and we'll talk about that next.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too.
But the interest rates hadn't shifted in over a year. Mm-hmm. And so it really just became like a slowdown. Everybody who needs to make real estate deals, whether that's job transfer or something, then they're doing stuff, but there's only serious action happening. The little bit of action is real.
Yeah, that's true. I got a notification yesterday on a house that was around 400,000 that they were like, hey, we're looking for a buyer. We'll give incentives. We'll do this. We'll do that. And I was like, wow, you're not even selling. Wow. Like it's a very rare market where you see a house in $400,000 range that's having a hard time selling.
Right.
And when they reach out to you with those notifications, that's definitely an indicator they don't have any activity going on.
Yeah,
so.
and those sitting with those listings that almost feel like they're getting a little bit stale are very proactive in their marketing.
Yes.
I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting texts, I'm getting reverse prospecting, there's flyers going out. The people who are trying to sell, the agents who are trying to market their property, they are marketing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that is, that's a struggle for some agents right now because they're like, what am I not doing? I had a conversation with somebody yesterday and she's like, I'm trying everything. What am I not doing? And I was like, no, you're doing everything that you should be doing. Unfortunately, one thing we cannot control is the market. So.
Right. I think that we're a little bit spoiled in this market because we do move so fast and it's just a given. Anything's going to sell, right? Mm-hmm. If it's a condition, then we have a whole gaggle of investors waiting in the background to pounce on that. And, you know, if it's turnkey ready, we have everybody who wants that. And so there's just a lot going on.
Yeah. So sold. For solds for the week, we are down. What was our number?
I don't even want to say it.
You can spread the bad news. Be the bearer.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tiana. I'm bringing all the bad news today. 343 homes sold last week. I don't even remember how long it's been since we had such a slow. Did I say slow enough times?
It is slow. I mean, I am, the good news about it, I'm getting caught up on some things that need to get done. You know, I'm spending time in the office, like doing my, stuff, my little task list and stuff like that. But there's not a lot of activity going on right now.
Yeah,
it's just,
there's just not.
It's just
and that number, 343, that hurts my whole soul just to say it. 343.
Under contracts, they're okay, 562.
Yeah, that looks better. And what also makes me sad, since I'm the bearer of bad news, I think I will also bring up the price reductions are over 650.
Yeah.
652 price reductions.
Yeah, well, that's people that, they have the motivation. They need to get sold, so they have to reduce the price. So,
yeah. That's a factor. Now, for a teeny tiny bit of what could possibly be good news for the market, at least the media is acting like it is because they are spreading it all over. I cannot open an email or pop open a YouTube or go on social media and not see what happened. Was it yesterday?
Yesterday, but once again, media is incorrect on this. So sorry to break that to you. So the Fed did
The
dropped
Fed,
the rates half a point, which was a big drop.
50 basis points.
Yes, so
There we go.
They did a half point adjustment, but unfortunately, rates actually went up yesterday.
In the mortgage.
Yes, in mortgage rates.
Yeah,
so,
in mortgage rates they did, but not in the central bank.
Yeah.
They dropped 50 basis points, and the whole economic world jumped on it. It was literally the only news story yesterday that I saw.
Yeah, well, the Fed rate is one thing, but there's also bonds that dictate mortgage rates.
Yep,
and
indeed,
those
indeed,
bonds go up. They go up actually, or they fluctuate throughout the day, every day. So those bonds are pointing to even higher rates right now, unfortunately. So we're going to see rates get higher before we see them get lower, and hopefully there's a balance later on. But right now, don't celebrate yet, because we're not going to see those.
You're the bearer of bad news. Okay, so I'm all optimism on the other side, because even though right now with the bonds and stuff, there's a little fluctuation, but you have to understand, mortgage ended up cutting their rates prior to Fed cutting their rates.
Correct.
So, they do work independently to some degree, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So there is the chance that this will go. But what I'm excited about is everybody seems to think, after what happened. So if you're not really into the market, or you're new here and you don't really know what's going on, after the pandemic, within 1 year, the Fed raised 11 different times to bring the interest rate from somewhere by the 3s up over the 7s, and then it leveled out for over a year. There was no movement in those mortgage rates, which now is the aftermath. What we're feeling are these 343 sold, and it's just less buying power for people to get mortgages if it's causing their mortgage company to pay a ton of money for them to borrow the money to then in turn loan to the consumer.
Yes, and then we have the big E word. So there's so many people are just not taking action during election season.
Yeah.
And we see it every time.
Well, the Fed
it's a
took
given.
some action. They dropped 50 basis points, and now there's rumors will they do 50 basis points each cut? And everybody is theorizing that even if they went down to 25 basis points each cut, let's say when they meet in December, and then again in the January, February, whatever, they're going to drop. Even if they only drop 25 basis points, though, if they continue on the trajectory of 25 basis points, then the interest will be down to 3.33% by the time we get to June. So in our biggest summer selling season, the whole world could be completely different.
Yes, and that's also if those bonds are on track with what the Fed's doing, because
Right.
the bonds are actually what dictates what the mortgage rates are going to be.
Right, and they've got that inflation curve. They like to keep it at 2%. We got up to over 5 and 7%, which was 7%, and then we came down 5%. We're close to that 2% now, which is great. But that unfortunately is only one factor. Another I guess a red flag that is going on in the markets that could determine if the Fed stuck this landing and be like, hey, we did it. It was only uncomfortable for a minute. Or if we actually hit that recession status, is going to be those unemployment numbers, because that market's cooling.
Yes, absolutely.
And you do need a job to buy a house.
It's kind of important.
Not every time. If you have cash, maybe all those trust fund babies can give me a call. They got cash.
Yeah. So, we'll see. We'll see what's going to play out over the next couple months.
Yep.
But until now, I guess our first question kind of highlights on that.
Our first, I was going to say these questions do kind of go inside with what we've been talking about, because there's been a couple times we've already been talking in the last 10 minutes that I want to be like, oh, that addresses so-and-so's question, but we'll do them in order.
Yeah.
All organized and stuff.
Yeah, so let's start with Leslie. Leslie's been seeing a lot of price reductions and wants to know if that means the market is crashing.
Does that mean that? Well, that doesn't necessarily mean the market's crashing.
Yeah, crash is such a harsh word, Leslie.
Right, we avoided it. We avoided it for a year and a half with the term correction.
Yeah, well, it's what do you consider a crash? If you're asking if it's crashing like 2008, like what we seen back then. I really am a firm believer that I don't think we're going to see anything that substantial again. It could happen. I wish I had a crystal ball. I wish I knew the truth on that, but I really don't believe that's going to happen. So that is, I think that's highly unlikely.
I think it's highly unlikely. I can't imagine that we had all of this growth and all of this money poured into the housing market and then just to crash it. And back then, that was a completely different set of circumstances. Obviously, bonds were involved, but in a very different way. Just bundling all those crappy loans together.
Yeah. And there is the principle of what goes up does eventually come down, but come down as correction or softening and come down on as crashing like what we see in 2008 are two completely different things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think they're all buzzwords. Will there be some changes? Probably. We're still feeling it out, you know.
But if you're asking if the market is softening, Leslie, yes, the market is soft. It is soft right now.
If you don't believe me, just look at the numbers. 343 sold. That is so sad, you guys. I hate that.
Yeah, so softening equals opportunity. So that is, when you send those lowball offers and they might have a chance of them taking it. So those are things that you see in a softened market. You see some changes. So we are seeing those changes right now.
Yeah.
Concessions. I've been getting more concessions over the last couple months than I have in years. So
yeah, I haven't seen concessions like this in a while, and all of those numbers, if you don't really track the numbers, then you're missing out on an opportunity. So if you're tuning in here, it's a good thing, because just showing those numbers, when I see 343, that means things are not moving. That means sellers are motivated, and even though we're technically balanced market, those concessions are something that you can get. Closing costs, they're doing repairs, they're doing whatever it takes to move these properties off their books and into your life.
Yeah, with no pushback. I mean, there's times that I'm like, in a transaction, I send out an addendum and I'm waiting for the call from the agent, like, what are you doing here?
Right.
Like, what is this? And they're just like, okay, sure, no problem. Sign.
Yeah, and it's everything about the board, right? Everything across the board. It doesn't matter if you're just asking to extend due diligence for a bit. They're like, sure, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
We just want you to
whatever
be happy.
you want to do, just don't cancel. Because that's another thing. We're not reporting these numbers right now, but we can take a look at those in the coming weeks. We're seeing a lot more fallout. A lot more people go into contract, and if the seller's not giving them the moon and more, they're like, okay, never mind, I'll move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, and if you do want those numbers, you can go ahead and contact us. We have information on our link tree that you can send questions to, like these listener questions, and that's realtycheck.vegas, and you can send your listener questions there or just ask for information. And if you wanted to see what those numbers look like, we can get those for you.
Yeah, if you're someone that loves charts, we got charts. We got all kinds of stuff for you.
If you're analytical, I have programs that will send you everything that you need. Your little analytical heart will be happy.
Yeah. So there's definitely resources. I like Dawn's question.
This is my favorite question. Why don't realtors answer their phone?
Well,
we're really not doing anything. I don't answer my phone because I'm usually in the pool or getting a massage, or no, that's not true at all. There is so much stuff that happens in a day for a realtor.
I feel like some people think that realtors are just sitting in the office by the phone waiting for you to call.
Yeah.
And your only job is to answer that call, right?
Yeah.
And that's seldom the case. Some realtors, unfortunately, we're not all created equal. Some realtors don't even return calls, which is quite frustrating and annoying, even for us.
Yeah, for us, it's annoying. You think it's bad for you when we have contracts and things on the line, when we need answers, and then we're just getting ghosted.
Yeah, when our job consists of trying to get in contact with other realtors, it becomes very annoying.
It does.
But yeah, I do pride myself in saying that I do always return calls if I don't answer them. And in most cases, it's always within 2 hours. Very seldom am I ever in an appointment that goes or exceeds 2 hours, unless you call me like after business hours. If you're calling me at 7 p.m., I'm not calling you back by 9 p.m. I'll probably call you back the next day because if I'm not answering the phone at 7 p.m., I'm doing something or maybe sleeping because I do go to bed early. So
I'm having lunch at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So I am not going to sleep.
Yeah, I know. I go to bed early. So don't try to contact me at 7 p.m. It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
And I had a broker at one point in time. It was Sharon, our coach that comes on the show all the time.
Yeah.
She said there is no reason to take a phone call at 7 p.m. because there is nothing that urgent in real estate that can be handled at 7 p.m.
Right. So Monday through Friday and 9 to 5 is when the bulk of the contractual part of the business happens.
Yeah.
So if you're in contract and you're worried about something and it's after the title has closed or after your lender is closed, then there's nothing you're doing till the next business day anyway.
Yeah.
Now, there are other facets of our job that require us work evenings and weekend showings and stuff. But the reality is this, why do realtors never answer their phone is such a broad question. And I kind of felt like saying, well, I feel like you did not call the right realtor or work with the right person. So some people just grab the first person they see and be like, you'll do. And you're not having conversations. And when you talk to people, you'll get an idea of how they are professionally. And you got to understand, you are hiring a professional.
Yes.
And they are there to work and service you. And if they're not communicating and they're not texting and they're not doing the things that you as the consumer want or need, then you need to find somebody that you do want to work with that will be held to the same standards and accountable the way you want them to be.
Yeah, one of the things that I have at the listing appointment is I have a commitment.
Yep.
A standard and a commitment that I tell my sellers. And one of the things I tell them too is, if you call me, I may not answer the phone if I'm with a client, if I'm in an appointment, but I will call you back within 2 hours. But that's very important.
That's even on your voicemail.
Yeah, it is on my voicemail.
You tell office hours, you tell when you're going to get back to them. You are very much constantly setting those standards and keeping your clients aware of what next steps will be or how you will be. So if they leave a message, they know you said you're calling back within 2 hours.
Yeah, it's what to expect. But another thing about that is if you have your home listed and you can't get a hold of your realtor,
right.
Potential buyers can't get a hold of your realtor either.
Yeah, other agents who are want to schedule showings or have questions about the property.
Yeah, or even buyers that are calling for sign calls for anything. I mean, if your realtor is unable to reach, nobody's reaching them.
Yeah.
So that's a factor.
That is definitely a factor.
One thing that I was doing, I was doing often is answering spam, the spam likely phone calls because I'm like, it could be spam likely, but it could be something important. I really am not answering those calls anymore because right now it's like there's 20 or 30 a day. It's impossible. It's like, why, and I was optimistic that like maybe those won't be real scammers, but they all are.
They all are. So I believe the scam likely is due to the amount of phone calls that come from a number. So the chances of it likely being a scam are high volume phone calls. So that way, like a call center or something.
Yeah. So if your number's flagged scam likely and you can't get a hold of a realtor, maybe try calling from a different number. If you're really trying to get a hold of a realtor for a real purpose other than trying to scam them or spam them or do whatever these scam likely people are doing, fake IRS, whatever your game is.
They're selling vacation timeshares and they want
car warranties. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Well, hey, don't knock the hustle.
Oh.
They got to eat too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I get off of old listings that I've had, like listings from like way back when. Yesterday I got a call off a listing that I think I had like 8 years ago. And the guy's like, oh, I'm calling about this property. I recognize the property name. And I'm like, what are you calling about? Like, what could you possibly need? And he's like, oh, I'm looking to buy something off market, blah, 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 blah. So, like, my name got connected because I was the listing agent.
Right.
Somewhere on public records with my name and phone number. He thought I was the owner and called me. And I'm like, please, just take me off
my phone
this
number
list.
that I've had since, like, I was born in 1998. Okay, maybe I was 2 or 3 at the time. But anyway, my phone number that I've had for over 25 years, when people don't have me saved in their phone, comes up with 2 different names. Either, I think it's Nancy Painter or Nancy Foreman and Joyce Painter. And they were the two second or third clients, and I just started grabbing like random names and putting together stuff, and I didn't even put those out into the world, so I don't know how they got it, but I was doing like some notes and whatever, because those were a combination of a bunch of different clients that I had at the time, and somehow my name got attached to those 2 names, and when my phone calls, I'm like, how is that fair? Been paying this bill for 25 years and they get the name?
That's funny.
It's messed up. So if you see those names come up, it's me.
So let's go into Erin's question.
All right. I have a home listed and no one has come to see it or come to the open houses. What can I do?
Well, Erin, welcome to a high inventory market.
Yeah, that's it. Put your house in a different market.
Yeah.
that's the easiest way. Just kidding.
I mean, definitely, it depends on, is your home listed by you? Is your home listed by a realtor? Definitely, if you hire a professional, you can have more marketing exposure.
Yeah.
I don't know if Erin has her home listed with a realtor or if it's listed, she's doing it for sale by owner or things like that. Coming to open houses, open houses are so overrated. I mean, it's
So they're going to tell you statistically that you're never, ever, ever going to sell a house, your open house, to that person that comes into the open house. Now, a realtor might hold an open house and meet people that way, which is great for networking. As realtors, that's what we're doing. We're constantly trying to expand the people that we can help. And so meeting new people at an open house is great for the realtor. Does it necessarily sell houses? Everybody will tell you no.
Yeah, it happens. I've sold a couple houses at open houses.
Yes, I have sold so many houses at open houses.
Yeah.
So
no, it does happen. It's just very rare and a very slim chance that it happens. And average open house activity really is less than 5 people.
Yeah, and then open house activity is different than actual saleable buyers, because a lot of times open houses tend to be people's first step, the jumping off point. Let's just see what's out there before we talk to a lender. Let's just see if we like anything. Or my favorite buyer line is, if it's the right house, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're going to buy it. You don't even know what your finances are yet. Talk to a lender. No.
Well, the truth about it is most people that go into open houses don't go from online or, even, Zillow. We post our open houses on Zillow, but most of the people, if you ask people, do some case study on it and ask people that are coming into the open house, how did you get here? They came from the signs. So it's the odds of someone driving down the street, seeing a sign that says open house, and that person being ready to buy and that house being everything that they're looking for. It's
happening to be in their budget, too.
And in their budget.
Like, what's the chance you're driving down the road and you're like, oh, let me go into this open house, and then it can be something that you can afford and that it's yours and that it can make happen. Yeah.
But it has happened. I had a client once that she had this beautiful house. This house was so beautiful. I sold it. She was downsizing at the time that we sold it, but it was just, it looked like a huge doll house. But
I want to live in a huge doll house.
It was adorable. I love that house. But that house, she said that it was during the crash. Mm-hmm. She said she drove by. It was a corner house that you could see like from the street. It was inside a community, but you could see like a lot of the house from the street as you're driving by. She said, I was driving to work every day and I would be like, oh, I love that house. Oh, I love that house. Oh, there's my favorite house again. Oh, I love that house, right? And then one day she's like, I'm just going to stop in and see what's going on. And that, it was during the crash and it was just like that. Somehow it worked, right?
Right.
And she said it was a year that she was driving by by just like admiring this house, and then it became hers.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
And that was awesome.
That's
right?
a great
like
story.
So things like that could happen, and she was just like, "Oh, it's got to be out of my price range. It's got to be out of my budget." But hey, it was a slow time, and there was lots of incentives, and it was like they made it work. They were able to make it work for her, and things like that can happen. So things like that can still happen with an open house.
Yeah, and then most of the people, like I said, are the jumping off point, the beginning stages of it. Let's just see what's out there in the open house. The other big chunk of people that go to open houses are people who are currently on the market, and they've seen like a lot of houses and they're not seeing what they're like, and so their agents are sending them the list of open houses and go see this and go see that, and they might be on the market already. So if you're new to the market as a seller and you put a house up on the market and you get a lot of activity, some of those are going to be looky-loos and beginners, and there's going to be a certain percentage. Those would be the ones that would actually technically buy your house because they're in the market, they're probably pre-qualified, they're actively looking. They usually show up without an agent, but will hand you an agent card or phone number to contact about their interest, and then those are the ones that you're praying, please give me 2 or 3 of those in my open house.
Well, every once in a while, I even have buyers that have challenging schedules, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know when I can make it or when whatever," and then there's this house that's kind of on their radar already. They are ready to buy, and we find out it has an open house, and they're like, "Oh, I could stop in between lunch at work or whatever, but I don't know exactly what time I'll be there, but since they have a 4-hour window, it's going to be open. I'm just going to pop in as soon as I have a chance or a break to do so." So sometimes you get those people show up. So there's pros and cons there.
Yeah, and there's a little double-edged sword with the open house, though, too. Because when you do an open house and there's no cars or people inside the open house, cars outside, it doesn't look activity, people will drive by and be like, "Oh, nobody likes that house." And subconsciously, they just keep going, or they come in, and if nobody's there, they kind of peek around half-heartedly and like, "No," and then they're off.
Well, it's just like kind of the yard sale people.
Yes.
Right?
Those early birds.
Well, that drive by from the street and they're like, they can't see everything there, but they're like, "There's nothing there I want." They do that with the open houses too.
Totally.
They'll just drive by, totally judge the house from the outside. The inside could be amazing, but they're just like, "Oh no, that tree's dead. I'm moving on."
Yeah. And the thing is, I have to say, if you haven't been in a lot of Vegas Vegas homes, right? Some of the houses are deceptive from the road. There's so many times from the road I'd be like, "Oh, that looks small." Well, in the beginning of my career. Now I'm like,
some of the houses that they're building right now, the newer homes, I've seen quite a few actually where I pulled up to the front and I'm like, "Oh, this house is small." Like, and I've already ran comps and I've already like done all this stuff and I'm like, "Wow, how's the price of this?" I'm judging it from the outside of my car, right? Like, how is this price with this tiny house? I'm looking at the house like it looks so small, and then you get in and it's long and big.
Those
and you're
hot
like,
dog
wow.
houses.
Yeah. So there's, some of them can definitely be deceiving from the outside.
Yeah, I do like the idea of going and touring houses in person. I do a lot of video and stuff, especially for out-of-state clients and stuff, but I like the idea of people at least getting into the house in their due diligence and just sort of feeling the light and the energy and seeing how they're going to live in that house. And that is a benefit if you're just popping into open houses. If you're like a light person, or you just want to get a feeling and you're like, "I'll just know it's the right house when I'm in it," then open houses are for you.
Yeah. And also, Erin, one more thing that I actually had a client tell me about this a couple months ago, and I've now incorporated it into my listing package.
Yeah.
These Instagram reels, they really do. It's,
I love social media.
It sounded silly at first, but they do get a lot of interest, and sometimes it will trigger the buyer to want to go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Instagram reels do work in certain cases. I mean, I think they work, just like the Instagram food and restaurant and all the other things on Instagram. It works on the things that are Instagram ready.
Well, yeah, because if they say the picture's worth 1,000 words, then a video that gives you a real life idea and makes you sort of salivate at the idea of, "Oh, this food is so great," or "Oh, that house is so good," or "I could see myself in that hotel when I go on vacation."
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a great form of advertising. placement. And if you're not having any showings or anything, what can Erin do to sort of get more action to that property before we wrap up?
Well, she can call me.
That's not where I thought that was going to go, but yes, you can call her.
All right.
Give Trish a call and she'll tell you everything you need to know. You can reach her at 702-308-2878.
And Erin can call you too. What's your phone number?
She can call me. I'm 702-379-9948. And then we'll be talking about things like revisiting price, maybe doing some home improvement, maybe some staging, maybe if she hasn't had any professional pictures done online, because people buy with their eyes. That's why those reels are so important.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you can do, but call either one of us if you have any questions or you want to figure out what's going wrong in your real estate transaction or world or idea of a transaction, and see if we can help you out in some way. You can also go to realtycheck.vegas. Again, that is where our link tree is. You can send listener questions, everything right there on that platform.
And one more ethical note, Erin.
Okay.
If you are in a listing agreement with another agent, we cannot provide you any information or advice.
Yeah. If you've already have an agent, then we're out.
Yeah.
But if you're still in the beginning stages and you're, just selling a house by yourself, or you need a professional in your life and don't have one already,
or your contract has expired, that's definitely it. But yeah, we are not allowed to discuss real estate with people that are already in contract with other agents.
Yep, that is your agent's job. So
Yes.
Contact them.
Absolutely. All right. And make sure you guys check out our link tree, realtycheck.vegas, and we will wrap this up and see you next week.
Bye, you guys. Thanks
Bye.
for coming.